There's a scripture in the Bible that says, David says, I'll look to the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. In that passage, actually, there's a whole bunch of different theological positions on that particular passage, because in some books it'll say, I'll look into the hills from which cometh my help, question mark. I sat down and did a study and wrote a book about this because I used that psalm or that passage to deal with a question that I always get asked. And this is going to be our next series. How do I actually pray? What are the steps to praying? And I want to give you some real practical stuff that's helping me. It's not I don't want to say it's cookie cutter and you should do it every time or whatever. It's just if you're trying to look for a place to start, or if you've been in the game for a long time and you feel like your prayer life is a little stale, I want to give you some practical things to do. If you want more information about what that is, there's a book called 4 Tips to Get in His Presence. You can go to johndecure.com and get that, and just go there and get the book. But I want to give you the 4 tips right now for free. It's important to me that we learn to pray. Step 1 into creating this what I call the space for God, where you meet God. Step 1, you got to acknowledge God as your source. So when you first enter into prayer, you want to acknowledge God as your source. And what does that look like? I'll give you some phrases. I'll read some phrases that I use. Lord, you are my source. Lord, I adore you. You are my everything. I can't move or breathe without you, Lord. These are some things that, some phrases that I use. I'm not saying you got to use those exact phrases, but if you're new to the game of praying, not that it's a game, but you understand what I'm saying. Start with God being the source. A lot of times what happens is that we're so used to people coming to our rescue, we don't understand that God is actually the source of all things. So when you enter in your prayer time into that space, before you start asking for anything, recognize and realize that every single thing you got, whether it be your clothes, whether it be the house you live in, whether it be the car you drive, whether it be the job you own, everything you got comes from God. So when you enter into that space with Him, God, I understand that everything comes from you. Spend time there first. Acknowledge God as your source. And that's the first step when you're entering into prayer. This is Pastor John DeCure, and this is Monday Movement.